Please join me in welcoming Margaret Heffernan.
Thank you so much. And good morning. I came into this conference hall this morning and I had this unbelievable kind of flashback. I think the last time I was here was about 10 years ago. And I was attending a conference about digital media. None of us really knew what digital media was, so we came to the conference to find out. And I remember sitting in the audience and hearing about how people were going to start getting all of their news on their computers and thinking, oh, well, that's never going to happen. And about 4 years later, I was running a company that did 24-hour live streaming of David Blaine's Frozen in Ice stunt in New York. And millions of people watched at every hour of the day. And I remember sitting and hearing that sooner or later, user-generated content would take over mass media and thinking, well, who wants to watch all that kind of stuff? And 4 years later, I was running a company that did the first ever online film contest. All we really know these days about business is that we know nothing. And then I look today at the Fortune 500, and there in the #1 spot, the world's biggest company is Walmart, frozen in the headlights because they can't figure out where they can grow. And I look at the company in the second spot, the second biggest company in the world, Exxon, and some experts are saying they're absolutely brilliant because they're focused totally on fossil fuels, and other people think they're suicidal. Which of those is right? Nobody knows. And then I look at something much more humble, like the light bulb, and realize that the good old standard light bulb we all used to buy at the supermarket is now defunct, replaced by fluorescents and LEDs. And I understand that the world in which we live is one characterized by absolute constant turbulence. And those of us who kept thinking, well, one day it's going to settle down, we now realize it's never going to settle down. We live in a business world of such immense complexity that we know we don't know how to figure it out. And so we think every day, I think every day, my friends think every day, oh God, if only I was smarter. If only my company was smarter. If only a business world were smarter. But I'd like to suggest to you that actually one of the problems we have is of our own making. Because we hire very, very smart people in our companies, but we don't let them stay smart. In fact, we hire smart people and we turn them stupid. You know what I mean, don't you? You've all been there. And in fact, there are academics and experts who say that of all the fantastic talent that we bring into our companies at huge expense, the amount of that intelligence we actually use is 5%. 5%. Some academics are more generous. They say it's 10%. But what that means is that we're developing fabulous people, fabulous business people. We're hiring them into our companies, and then we're wasting them. How does that happen? Well, let's think for a minute about why do we hire all these great people, and why do we put such a big emphasis on diversity? We put a big emphasis on diversity because diverse teams of people make smarter decisions than single kinds of individuals or individuals working alone. And that makes sense, because if you bring in lots of people with different backgrounds, different ways of thinking, different experience, they can see more solutions. They can think more creatively together. But in fact, my observation in most companies that I visited is we bring in all these diverse people, and then we make them all behave the same way. We make women try to act like guys. And we lose a lot of the brilliance that we spent so much time and effort to bring in. And we do that partly because we're very afraid of difference. We're very anxious about the ways in which we are different. We're anxious because we don't want to feel we're being undemocratic, and because difference makes us feel incredibly anxious about who we are. And I'd like to leave you with an idea for this conference this morning, which I hope will enrich your experience. Men and women are different. We have fought this for years, and I think we're all now conceding we are different. And we need to learn how to value that difference and not be so embarrassed about it. One of the very key ways in which women are different is our brains simply function differently. We know this from the emerging neuroscience. We always kind of knew it by watching each other. And I'd like to just give you one example. Imagine it's Saturday morning and somebody has to take the dry cleaning. And so you ask your husband to take the dry cleaning, and he does. He takes the dry cleaning, he gets in the car, he drives to the dry cleaners, he drops it off, he comes home, and you say, "So, honey, how was that?" And he says, "It was fine." That's it. "Did you see anything?" "No." "What's the day like?" "I don't know. I didn't pay attention. I just did the dry cleaning." And the next week, when the dry cleaning's ready to be collected, you go and collect the dry cleaning. And you have a very different experience. Because you get into the car, you notice it's a really nice day, you notice it for a Saturday morning, actually there's quite a lot of traffic. And as you're driving through, you notice all the mothers who are taking their kids to sports activities, and you notice that actually everybody's wearing a lot of green at the moment. And you notice that there are or there aren't more Priuses on the road, and you notice that one of the traffic lights is broken, and you notice that the trees have started to come out into leaf. And you notice all this stuff, and then you park the car and you think, town's kind of quiet today. I wonder why. I wonder if there's something else going on. And then you remember that actually your friend did tell you there was something else going on, but you'd forgotten about it. And then you finally get into the dry cleaner store, and you realize that actually the girl working there is different from the one before. And actually she looks really stressed, and you wonder, well, gee, I wonder if she's a trainee, and I hope people are being nice to her. And you're collecting all this stuff, and you pick up, then you collect the dry cleaning, and you realize that actually there's a piece missing, so you collect the other piece, which wasn't on the ticket. And maybe that was because she was a trainee. We don't necessarily want to. We don't need any of this stuff. We just sweep it along as we go through life. And men think we're crazy, and we think it's normal. But the reason it's so important is this. When academics sat down to analyze what was the single key ingredient in business leadership success, it wasn't background, it wasn't education, it wasn't who you knew, it wasn't how tall you were, it wasn't how old you were, it wasn't whether you were good looking or not, it was none of that stuff. It was one thing: pattern recognition, being able to connect the dots. Now, what do you need to connect the dots? You need lots and lots of data. What do women have in their heads all the time? Lots and lots of data. This is a core business talent. Guys may think it's funny. I think it's smart. And as I've gone around the world interviewing fantastic entrepreneurs and female business leaders, they've all got it. They know the market because they're picking up this data, picking up all this stuff all the time, and they know what's going on before anybody else has even started to see it. This is just one way in which women are different. It's a huge difference, and instead of trying to bury it or laugh at it, it's really important that we recognize this as a key business asset that we should celebrate. And so as you're enjoying the conference here today and all the incredible riches that it has to offer, I would encourage you to use that street sweeper mind, collect all this data, collect the stuff that's random, that's informal, because it will all teach you something. And recognize that in doing that, you're exercising a fantastic talent. The 350 high school students who are here today, you have that talent already. Nobody gave it to you, you just have it. So use it and be proud of it. Corporate executives who are here today, use it, be proud of it. It will set you ahead. Entrepreneurs who are here today, this can be fundamental to your success. Women have fantastic brains. They are beautifully designed for business, and they are spectacularly well designed for this complex, turbulent, confusing, ever-changing business environment in which we sit. There is probably no instrument better for understanding our times than the female mind. So use it, enjoy it, enrich yourselves today, and remember that all that stuff you're collecting, it's not random, it's data. Thanks a lot.